Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. We have crazy changes unfolding in Florida's condo market. Now, these are changes that I'm pointing to that I'm going to show you evidence of today. Some of the hottest markets in the entire US, Miami, for one, finds itself in a huge problem with unloading condos. You've already been hearing some of the stories online, and I'm going to show you indicators that point directly to 20 to 25% price collapse right in front of us. Now, if you've not been following the story, this crazy saga, which it sorrows me. I do not like talking about it because it's hurting good people. It's hurting good Floridians. And the situation with all of these spiraling costs, people love to go in my comments and just bash Florida. They just love to say, oh, see, this is Florida's problem and Florida has these issues with these insurance, the crisis. And baloney. You can go to California. You can go and watch CNN do documentary and news reports on LA where people there are having to pay $100,000 a year in property taxes, or particularly, property insurance to cover their houses just the same. So what we're having happen in Florida, you need to be very careful that this isn't going to show up at your doorstep, because all that has happened, and you've been watching the news, condos have come under massive scrutiny because one of the towers collapsed in Miami, the Surfside tragedy. Almost about 100 people lost their lives. That has caused a tightening on the recertification process for condos. It's created a lot more financial hurdles. It's created a lot of financial hurdles on the backdrop of, over the past 2 and 3 years, people already stressed to the max. Taxes, because properties have been going through the roof in value. Property taxes alone strangling homeowners. Homeowners insurance inside of the homeowners associations for these condominiums already jacking up their rates. And ultimately, why is this happening? And the secondary thing we'll see in the comments, which kind of infuriates me as I go into this data, and I'm going to show you a bunch of markets, all the major markets in Florida, prices in real time look crazy sketch. And it's not easy to keep your finger on the pulse because a lot of the companies that we pull data from don't separate the condo data clearly. I ended up spending money on a new toy last week, and I've got some really cool data to show you. But my point is, you can't just look at what I'm about to show you as being an issue of sellers getting squeezed and throwing their properties out on a fire sale scenario. It's not just that. We on our doorstep and in Florida, Texas, Colorado, Arizona, many other states are experiencing what we are seeing right now, which is a consumer squeezed on both sides. You have the seller, yes, getting the pain, having these issues stack up. And I'm saying this because the next person going in the comments talking about these owners, oh, these owners in their little Miami condos can't keep them anymore. That is wicked to say something like that in the comments when you have to understand these are people that are elderly, a lot of cases, retired. They bought these properties like 15 years ago. They were here to retire. And now all of a sudden a person lives there and 3 of their friends moved away because the place, everything around them got so expensive. Purely it's monetary policy. It's their dollar went to crap because during the pandemic, policy created situations where everything inflated. But here's the thing I'm saying. The sellers are being punished. The buyers are being hurt themselves. Buyers can't buy these condos. So a lot of these condos you're hearing about in the news, you're seeing situations where these properties themselves are having massive assessments put on them because they're all of a sudden they have all these back bills that, they have to hire architects and make sure the buildings are structurally sound. And then maybe they're spending millions of dollars on roof, steel, structural modifications in order to bring them up. Okay. All the owners get faced with that cash. Now you have most of these buildings. These are older buildings and taller buildings. So these are your above 3 floors, 30 or plus buildings. There's almost a million of those in Florida that you're going to see price right now is collapsing, but it's twofold. Can they actually even be sold? Because at the same time, we're in moving season 2024 and Florida's marketplace is doing very poorly. In fact, the rest of the country, sell-off is pathetic this year because we have buyers that are busted. So now the buyers themselves aren't in great financial shape. There's arguably a recessionary force against the buyers in our country who have, they have credit cards maxed to the roof. They don't have the savings that they used to. And all of this is now precipitating a situation where people cannot keep these properties, having to crush the price. And then you have a buyer that can't buy it from them. So the point I'm making is you have to see what's going on this year. Okay. So here's the data point I'm going to show you across the state of Florida. These are only condo markets. Okay. Look at this. This, by the way, is Bay County. I'm going to start with the Gulf side, and then I'm going to work towards Miami, Broward County, up the right side coast after that. But look at this. This is just condo market data. This is the list price. Okay. So take a look at this. And this is, by the way, this is where Panama City Beach is located. So there's obviously a lot of waterfront condos here and condos that fit this narrative. It peaked. This marketplace peaked in its asking price, $515,000 right about now. So this was August of 2022. So right about now, 2 years ago back, asking prices are $515,000. Today, $413,000. It is absolutely fallen off a cliff. By the way, the other thing I want you to notice in a lot of these graphs is that usually the summer months, it picks up the price. Like people are able to demand more for their properties. Whereas for the last 8 months to a year, it's getting worse and worse and worse. Before you dismiss them, by the way, you have to understand this is what they're asking. This is what they're asking. Asking is plummeting, which means by the time they sell, their sold price is going to be even worse in a lot of these properties. Pinellas County, okay? So now we're in the Tampa market. This is going to be Clearwater Beach, Treasure Island, all that. Look at this. Pinellas County. And by the way, look at the price decrease percentage up here. Let me see if you can actually see it in the screen. See this blue right here? 49%. Half of all the listings in the condo market in Pinellas County are down for reduction. Now look at this. Pre-pandemic, you were inside of about $270,000 ask in this marketplace. It spikes all the way to $425,000 in middle of 2022. It fell off a cliff. Look what happened. It got some juice going into last summer. It built back up, but this summer there was no climb. There was no gain in the summer. All of these condo markets in 24 only flatlining and falling through the busiest months of the year, which means it's going to be really bad going the fall. But here, look at my point. Look at the asking price. Your median ask price, $424,000 in August of 22, is now $318,000. Someone do the math on that. I mean, how much is that? 25%? It's huge. It's huge. And again, understand, because a lot of you now are sitting there, oh, it's median list price. Median list price doesn't matter. Baloney. Median list price is a forward tell. It says that a huge segment of the entire marketplace is asking way less than 2 years ago, way less than last year. They're asking way less. What that means is the seller and the broker, they get together. These are all resale homes, and they decide everything's going down in price. There's a ton of homes on the market. We've got to do something. This is all of this is a measure of real-time sellers looking at the economy and saying, there is pathetic demand for my property. The buyers aren't here. The buyers are few and far between. There's a ton of us for sale. We have to be very aggressive. Look at Sarasota, okay? So I'm going to pull this up. Sarasota, another county, by the way. Sarasota County has 49% price decrease. All right, let me take the 7-day average out because it's a very messy chart if I don't do that. But look at this. So you had pre-COVID 429,000. It climbs all the way to a peak of right around 655,000, something like that. It fell off a cliff in end of 2022. Look what summer brought last year. It brought it back up. But did it happen? This summer, we should have a little hill right here. It should have taken off this line and cruised back up, but it didn't. It absolutely flatlined and fell off. It is now 525,000 median ask against a peak of $660,000. These are anomalies you do not see anywhere. If I flip the house, if I flip from condo and show you charts of the housing market, it's going to look like this, okay? This is massively shifting. Naples, all right? So now we're in Lee County. Lee County has 34% price decrease. So not a huge percentage of price cuts like you're seeing in those other markets I showed you. And Naples isn't falling quite as fast, but Naples had a peak, 410,000. It fell into the end of 2022, comes back up in last summer, and now it's never made it back. It's never made it back. Look at this. So currently it's at 350,000 from a peak of about 410,000. Naples is stronger than most. And I will also tell you that more than likely Naples doesn't have so many volume of condos that are older. That's maybe a blend. And again, you have to keep in mind, you have to do your own research for where you're at. You also need to pay attention if you're in a newer building next to an older one that's slashing and burning prices. Okay. So to think that those are never going to affect you, it depends on the marketplace around your property. Look at Miami-Dade. This is mind-boggling because this market has been so tough. Okay, even then, it's still only showing a 29% price decrease. This is, by the way, this is not the region of Miami, including, regional metropolitan area of Miami includes 3 counties. It's Palm Beach County, Broward, and Miami-Dade. This is just Miami-Dade County. I'm going to show you the other 2 counties in a second. But look at this. Miami-Dade peaked at 650,000, 645,000. It again came back up in last summer. Look what is going on. It has been on a straight downward spiral. Again, if you watch these markets I'm showing you, if you watch the markets like Sarasota, Pinellas and Tampa, Clearwater Beach, if you watch the news in Miami, I try to pay attention to the top stories and cover those on this channel. These are the ones where they have all of the brokers and all of these owners come out and just say, it's been on the market for 8 months. We've just reduced it and we've reduced it. And the question becomes, are they sellable, right? We can see the prices falling, but how many, they're just slashing the prices to the point where eventually someone's going to be like, wow, I know this is a risky purchase to buy one of these properties. If you buy one of these older 3+ story buildings that are under the recertification requirements, that are under these that's what it is. It's risk because you either know you have a massive bill on the table now that you have to assume when you buy it. That's a lot of people are selling these because they're like, oh, if my owner and my HOA gives me a $200,000 bill to pay as my assessment for my building, I can't do it. I got to sell. Well, the buyers are thinking the same thing. Okay. So it's like, who wants to catch a falling knife, right? It's like, it's dangerous. This is a risky play. So even though I think you're seeing a lot of these properties that are active on the market and falling in their asking price, they have to sell to dip the median price, closing side. For them to close, they got to, for your median close price. Because the real reality of this, you say, Jared, why are we looking at median list? Because median list becomes eventually median closed, median sold. So you're seeing all the homes, all the condos, the entire new, old, the stuff that isn't under the law of having to recertify, all of it is in the same highway on this data you're watching. So this is an aggregate, a mix, an index of all the condo asking prices. So, you have to believe that as time goes on, this is going to be crap hitting the fan. And again, I don't say it excited. My goal with the channel is to inform you. It's not to be like, oh, yay, look at this. This is a bad situation. I mean, this is something you might have a family member in one of these properties who has a bullet coming. If you can help them dodge that, my goal is to help you know what's going on. Look at Broward County. Okay, so we're north of Miami-Dade now. This one, just the same. Let me drop this down so you can actually see it. You can see the peak up here was right around the month we're in, September of 2022, 335,000. Pre-COVID, 245. So it went from 245 median to 335,000. 335,000 is now down to 295. Look at the middle. Look, this is what the ask was pre-COVID or early pandemic. Okay. Look where it's at. It's a couple, It's 50K away from where it was pre-COVID. And some of these folks, they're going to start selling at lower and lower prices from here. Palm Beach County. So that's the farthest northern county in the Miami statistical area. So Palm Beach County, look at this. Let me actually show you the top side here. Price decrease, 43%. Not a good sign. But you can see, look at its asking price held for a long time, 350,000. Had a little bit of a fall off last year, but now it's on its way. It's cracked. So it's not as bad as the others, right? It's at 320, came from 350. It's, down 10%. It's not 20, 25, almost 30% like some of the other markets we saw across Florida. But this is a late bloomer, okay? So, as I'm watching the data on and I'm seeing Fort Lauderdale, things of that nature, West Palm Beach, I'm starting to finally see, areas in Palm Beach County are starting to hit national highs in how far below year over year they were price-wise, okay? So this will be one to watch. This is just a late bloomer. This is just late to the party, but in all likelihood, this has got some, this has got some reckoning just like the others. But that's the point. I just wanted you to know. I mean, the number one thing is that it's hard to even find data that is pulling condos separately. By the way, if anybody's curious, hey, Jared, where'd you get this information? I got it from Altos Research. Altos Research. They pulled it. They aggregated it. It cost me more money to bring it to you, but it is available. I'll try and put a link to their resources in my description. I get nothing from it, but just to help you understand where things are. But it's a sad situation, folks. It's a sad scenario because ultimately what you have is people being taken out by cost. You have people who have owned property for multi-decades that they were just going along on their fixed income, Social Security, maybe had no mortgage, and now even without the mortgage, they can't afford to keep it. And the buyers coming in, this is the big thing, is the buyers now can't afford to buy it. That's the real debacle for Florida between the end of 2024 and 25, is even though interest rates have come down, it's done very little, if anything, to help increase the amount of sales because buyers are tapped. And here you have a very troubling market segment where buyers are not only tapped, they're also staring at that situation and saying, this is incredibly risky. I do not want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. What would you do? And what are you seeing where